Hi, it's Father Bob. I hope you're well. One of my favorite radio stations is a Catholic network called Relevant Radio. It can be found at 1150 AM out of Boston and 550 AM out of Providence, as well as relevantradio.com and free on the Relevant Radio app. Its slogan is Talk Radio for Catholic Life, a great alternative to what's out there in talk radio these days. And I'd like to share a great reflection I heard on Relevant Radio from last Friday's segment of Glenn's Story Corner called Perspective. For a small amount of perspective in this pandemic, imagine that you were born in 1900. When you were 14, World War I starts and ends on your 18th birthday with 22 million people killed. Later in that year, a Spanish flu epidemic hits the planet and runs until you're 20. 50 million people die from that in just those 2 years. 50 million. When you're 29, the Great Depression begins. Unemployment hits 25%, global GDP drops 27%, and that runs until you're 33. The country nearly collapses, along with the world economy. When you turn 39, World War II starts, and you aren't even over the hill yet. When you're 44, the U.S. is fully pulled into World War II, and between your 39th and your 45th birthdays, 75 million people perish in that war, and the Holocaust kills 6 million. At 52, the Korean War starts, and 5 million people perish. At 64, the Vietnam War begins, and it doesn't end for many years. 4 million people die in that conflict. Approaching your 62nd birthday, you have the Cuban Missile Crisis, a tipping point in the Cold War. Life on our planet as we know it could well have ended, and great leaders prevented that from happening. So as you turn 75, the Vietnam War finally ends. Think of everyone born on the planet in 1900. How do you survive all of that? A kid in 1985 didn't think their 85-year-old grandparent understood how hard school was. And yet those grandparents survived through everything I just mentioned. Perspective is an amazing art. Try and keep things in perspective. Let's be smart, help each other out, and we'll get through all of this together. In the history of the world, there's never been a storm that lasted. This too shall pass. St. Paul writes in his letter to the Romans, not only that, but we even boast of our afflictions, knowing that affliction produces endurance, and endurance proven character, and proven character hope. And hope does not disappoint, because the love of God has been poured into our hearts through the Holy Spirit that has been given to us. God bless.